On today's episode of Getting Real with Goldie, I'm going to do a little bit of a trauma review with you guys because I have some new information to add from the last time I did one of these. So here we go. In the last one I did, I talked about the difference between big T and little t. Big T is, bottom line, witnessing, experiencing, or having done to you a big horrible thing. Little t is combined cumulative traumas that you've experienced throughout your life, which could be psychological, emotional, sexual, physical, all of those things, but they're not as big as like the one event. And so somebody who has a lot of little t's or some big t's and little t's, right? I'm talking to you first responders, you might have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is not an official diagnosis in the DSM, but is one that we talk about anyways. Something that's also important to remember is when we are feeling threatened in our environment, right? And we have the 4 trauma responses: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fuck yeah, I did it without me. Anyways, those 4 trauma responses that we have are kind of automatic, subconscious. There's no time to think. It's just what we do, okay? When you get re-traumatized as an adult, right? Or something that reminds you of something that happened to you that's kind of buried in that brain of yours, it doesn't matter that you are, a 36-year-old person. It's 6-year-old you that's experiencing it because there is no timestamp on trauma. And also, when we're talking about those trauma responses, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, we don't have those threats in our natural environment anymore. So a lot of times we get flooded. The front part of your brain doesn't necessarily work very well when you are flooded or activated or triggered, as people like to say. And so rational thinking sometimes goes out the window. That can explain to people why there's like big reactions to stuff that doesn't really seem that important. Because again, it's not adult you, it's maybe child you that's experiencing that emotional flooding, which helps people to not feel so broken when they have post-traumatic stress disorder. So in closing, there are some things that you can do to soothe that autonomic nervous system so that you don't get so highly dysregulated when you're experiencing trauma. Again, we don't get to decide what fucks up our nervous system. Self-care, meditation, all those kinds of things. Talking to a therapist, of course I'm going to say that. But there's a lot that you can do, and so you should look into that on your own time. Good talk.